is happening, people? So today, so as you can see, I purchased the Garmin Ecomap UHD 93 SV with the GT54 transducer is the one I got with this particular unit here. And today we're going to install this puppy. So I've actually had this Garmin unit for about 2 weeks, but I've been waiting on this RAM mount here. This is a RAM mount, and it's a little bit stouter. It takes care of the 9 and 12-inch screens. I had one on the front, but it just wasn't beefy enough to take this 9-inch screen. So hey guys, this is a new one for me, and I'm going to show you guys how I install this. And by no means am I a boat mechanic, but I have moved some of my other depth finders around on the boat and hooked them up, so I feel confident that I can do this. And I know many of you out there in YouTube world may be interested in purchasing not necessarily the Garmin unit, but any unit. And so I'm going to run through, and if I make mistakes, I'll tell you things to look for when you're hooking it up, things not to do or to do. And hey guys, we're going to all learn together. Hey, see you in a minute. Looked around, and you can see this is the back side of the unit where it is going to set on this boat. Some people move it up here. So that's the first thing you got to do, is pick out where you want to mount it. So I had two choices here. I can mount it on the side, which I'll have to drill holes in the side of my boat, and I'm not too keen on doing that on this top side. Or let me loosen that. Or I can mount it on the side of the boat, and you can see that is where my, you can see this is where my old mount was. And I think I'm gonna put this new mount right here, maybe utilize one of these holes. When this unit sets here, I've got to get the unit up past the dashboard here, and so that is basically about how the unit is going to sit there and be turned on an angle. Now that's the first step. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the camera off, and I'm going to start mounting this D-ramp, and then we'll start installing the unit. So stay with us. It looks like I'll be able to utilize this hole here. So I'm going to try to reuse that hole, and boom, there's the hole. Use a black magic marker to mark my 3 holes here, and so let's get it drilled out. Okay, so that does it for the hole. Now let's get it attached. So now the fun part. So I got to get my hand back up behind here to put these nuts on here. So I gotta get my hand back underneath here, lay down in the floor. So this will take a little minute. So I have a flat washer I'm going to put on the back side, and then that locking nut, and get everything tightened down, and boom, that's our base. So let's get her done. So we got all 3 screws mounted, one on the bottom, 2 on the top. Here's the ball. So we got that loose. So I think I want the screen turned just about like that. So we'll tighten all this up. So that'll be about right. Our screen will sit right here. When I set this bracket up here on top of this mount, our 4 holes in each corner is the ones that correspond with this Garmin unit here. So I'm gonna attach that screw there to these corners, and we'll take a look at it after I get it installed. There it is, got all the screws in. Don't want to over tighten this. It is a plastic material. You don't want to break it. So we got all 4 of them done. So now let's put the baits for the unit on. Okay, so my next step is to put this transducer on and run this wire along the transom of the boat in here into the battery compartment, up along the side of the boat to this control, and I've got to come out right up under here, and I'm just going to bring the wire around here where this other wire is. You can see where this one is, and up and into the back of the unit. Now the transom, this is orange, and the end on the transducer is orange, so it's kind of color coordinated. And so that's how I'm gonna do mine. So the difficult part for me is to fish this lead up the side of this boat. Now I've done that before for this one, and it's no easy task, but it'll probably take me about 20 minutes to get that done. So I'm going to remove this box inside of this storage compartment here. Makes it a little easier for me to get in here, and I'll show you that when we get to it. Okay, so that's on there. You see, I'm going to leave this a little loose until I can get the transducer placed in here, and then we'll get it level out from under the bottom of the boat. So I'm just going to leave it loose for right now. Okay, so we've got to attach. This is attached to the transom mount, boom, like this. And this, of course, attaches to the transducer. So we've got to get that screwed on, and with the star screws, it's in this bag. So let me get that done. So as always, you get all your screws started first, and then you come back and tighten them all up. And I'm just going to get those. Now we'll get it mounted up to the transom mount. Looks like they got this out of sequence. Looks like the locking nut goes here. Now on the directions is a little bit off, and I'll show you this. The numbers is off, like the 6, 7, and 8. Rubber washer goes on the inside, flat washer, and then the nut. The rubber washer on the inside, flat washer, and then the bolt and the lock washer to this side. That's coming off the bottom of the boat, so I'm going to raise it up just a little bit. Now see one issue, when I put that, you see that's the bottom of my boat. Really would like it to sit just a little bit higher. That would probably read at full speed. But I think I'm gonna get it. I want it to run, personally I want it to run a little above the bottom of the boat, but you can see that's pretty darn near close with that level at the bottom. But I'm gonna raise this up just a little bit. So to do, and we're gonna also bracket back on. That looks level. You can see that looks level, so I get my bubble level, so we look like we got about the same amount of room here. So I think that's pretty darn level. I'm gonna route this. Now I'm gonna route this cable. These here, back here on the stern, was I just left these. These are some off the old one. It's one on each side that I'm going to utilize, and then I'm going to go inside of this boot and into the battery compartment and then go up the side. So that's kind of how I'm going to route my cable. So I got the cable run into the boot and coming up from the transom here and up underneath the motor. Now I'm just going to work my motor up and down and make sure that this wire doesn't get pinched, and it looks really good. It shouldn't get pinched because that's where the old wire was. So I think we're good on that. So I've made it around into the battery compartment. As you can see, this is my wire here. Now, this is one thing I did just to protect this end. I put some electrical tape over the end and taped it because I've got to send this thing up through here, and I've got a wire here that I'm going to tape to the end and attempt to fish it all the way up this side and get it to this point. So that's going to be a fun task. Anyway, let's get started. So basically, I'm just going to lay this wire across here, and I'm going to tape it to this lead, and hopefully I can pull it through. Now, by removing this storage compartment, it gives me a little more room, gets me closer up there to where the controls are, if you could see. So let's get started. Actually, I think I'm up there now. Boom! That's what we're looking for right there. Okay, so this is your power lead here, and this is the other end. I still have to hook the power up, and since I'm going to need the black wire and the red wire, and these two wires, since I don't have any other Garmin products hooking up to this unit, I can disregard these two. So we'll probably put a couple of wing nuts on the end and just wrap them up nice and neat. So now one thing that I am going to do on this power source is I'm going to get my soldering gun, and I already have a place that I can connect to power, to ground, and to power, and I am going to solder this to my power source as well as this ground. As you know, a boat takes a lot of beating riding up and down the road, so I want to make sure that these have good connections. And so this is my transducer connection. So this clip actually comes in a little plastic bag, and you unsnap it, and it's a little O-ring that you snap onto that. And I'll take it off real quick so you can see it. Very simple, straightforward. So inside you can see the little O-ring, and this just snaps around, and there's the little groove right there, and you just find your little groove and make sure all of the wires are corresponding, and you tighten the screw up just nice and snug, not over tighten. Boom. So I've got all those. So let's get these two hooked up. So it looks like I got two leads I'm gonna put on this one wire here. So that's not really necessary. If you want to hook it up a different way, you can. That's just what I choose to do, so I don't have to worry about bumping that connection. And while that cools, let's talk about one other thing while I got the light. Now this wire is hanging down here now, but that wire is not going to be hanging down much longer. And I'm going to get all of these wires, you see these wires here, I'm going to get them up out of the floor. None of these will be hanging down. I'm a stickler about getting wires. And you see this is a wire cover on my other depth finder that I got, and I wrapped all the wires for it and got it tucked back under there nice and neat. I don't want my foot hanging any of those, so be sure you take all these wires and loop them and either tape them or get you a zip tie and put them up underneath your console nice and neat. Very important. Don't leave no wires hanging down. Just gonna make a series of loops. Trying to burn up this access. Now, I hope you can see that. So I'm here below. We want to be able to, we want this unit to be able to pivot, and we don't want to get these wires too tight that our unit can't pivot like this. So you can see the wires moving. So I'm going to leave it tilted up like so, and then I'm going to take these wires and I'm going to put a tie strap right there. So this unit is supposed to snap right there, right into place. And so let's check it out. The unit, just so you can see, the unit snapped. Boom. So we know it's snapped in right there. So we know the unit snapped in, and the great thing about this ram mount, I can loosen it up and I can tilt this unit any way that I want to, and that's the great thing about this ram mount. That position right there is probably where I want it to be. I hope you can see that. So I'm gonna just power the unit up, let you see that the unit is powering up. I'm not gonna go over any features of it because the video's long enough. Ecomap UHD 93 SV US lake maps. So quickly, let's just recap what we've done. So quickly, we had to first of all, you got to figure out where you want to mount your unit. If you want to use a ball mount, you can actually use this as a mount if you're going to put it on a flat surface like up front. I chose to purchase this ram mount. I'll put the link on the YouTube video. I think this mount was about $104, but well worth it to give me the capabilities of moving the unit. And you've got to, once you get the ball mount mounted, you've got to mount the bracket to this mount, and then you can put your base in. This is your power lead here. You got to get your power to positive and the negative run. This is your transducer lead. Put your clip on that. The lead along the inside of the boat, out the back under the motor. Now that is if you're going to mount this on the stern. And you see I reused the clips, and we mounted this on the rear. Now, this does come, and I wasn't aware of this, but the transducer does come with the mounts for the trolling motor on the front. So if I would have chose to put this transducer on the trolling motor up front, I could have done so. All in all, this was relatively easy for me to install. If you are physically challenged, you got to get down underneath the console, you got to run some wires. If you are physically challenged, this may be a little tough for you. Hopefully you have a buddy or someone that can help you with it, or maybe the boat dealer. But all in all, this was not a bad install. I'll just say take your time while you're installing it. And you need some, you're gonna need some zip ties and a drill and some drill bits, and so just take your time getting it installed. So hey, the next video I'll have out, I'll show you some features on the Ecomap we'll go over, and I'm looking forward to using my my new Garmin Ecomap. Anyway, hey guys, you remember, it's a wildlife, and I'll see you on the water.